Welcome to everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us today for the live QuickBooks Online demonstration. And today we are going to be demonstrating how to how to record your transfer correctly. We're going to show you how to record your transfer correctly. And guys, if you want to see the live demonstration, up on over to YouTube. ACC, welcome. We are going to put the link for the YouTube channel at the top. If you give me a moment so I can get that at the top, because we're live on YouTube and we are going to show you. Oh Lord, I never can find my live. It's I always seem to have a moment. Just give me a moment. Okay, there we go. We got it right there. Okay, so I know that the live is working because I hear myself talking. I'm just copying the link from YouTube so I can put it on over here. Uh, oh, Lord, help me. Where do I put the link? Pin the link. So, guys, bear with me. Paste, add. I think it's at the top now. Okay, there it is. So the live demonstration is over on YouTube, so you can go ahead. We are also live in the Facebook group. So good afternoon, CC. How are you? Welcome, RC. Thank you for coming in. We're actually live inside of Create Financial Solution on Facebook, and we're also live on YouTube. We're live on Instagram. Instagram peeps, if you want to see it, you got to scoot on over to my YouTube channel where I'm doing a live demonstration on how to treat transfer when you have bank transfer. So, as I said at the beginning, so for those who don't know who I am, you might be catching this on YouTube, you might be catching it on Instagram, or you might even see the replay over in the Facebook group, or you might see it here on Clubhouse. So, we're just multi streaming today. So, as I was saying, if you've ever read the book Profit First, one of the recommendation that Mike, whatever his name is, recommend is that you have five banks account. So a lot of people these days start to follow his example or his recommendation to have five account. One of the account is going to be your main operating account, and we're talking about business, guys. We're talking about business. So one of the account is going to be a main operating account. Then one of the account is going to be your profit account. Another one is going to be for taxes, and then one account for owner's compensation. The fifth account, most small business owners tend to not have if they do not have employees. And the fifth account is a payroll account. So I have a client who have four accounts, right? Four accounts, and they actually do a lot of transfer. And I spent the last couple of days unraveling transfer, because the issue with transfer is when you transfer from one account to another account, especially if you do a bank transfer. If you do a bank transfer, if you can see my screen, it's going to show up in the corner right here. It's going to say record a transfer. So this is one of her account that she does transfer from. It's going to show up here and says record a transfer. Now, and this is showing that this transfer is going out, because this is the column that she's transferring out. She used to transfer out. So this is going to an account. Now I'm going to pull up the other account. And if you notice, it says deposit. So it's showing up as a deposit in the other account. Let me do this because I disable over. I don't want to show the people's information. So in this account, it is showing as a deposit, right? And what most people do is they record the transfer in both accounts. If you record the transfer in both accounts, so the people on Instagram, if you want to see this, you can go over to the Elaine Forbes on YouTube and you'll be able to see the live demonstration, right? Let's see, I can invite you to the stage, right? So when you make a transfer, hey, Miss C, how are you? So when you make a you are you so if you go to the YouTube channel, you'll see I'm actually going to show you how to do it. So it's okay. So now this is one account where the so this account, oh, wrong screen. This account is where the transfer is coming from. Now this is showing as a transfer, but in the memo column it says it's a withdrawal, which means that they're taking it out of one account and put it in another account. So in one account, it's going to show up as a withdrawal. Even though it's a withdrawal, it is still a transfer, because most people tend to make a mistake because it actually says withdrawal here. They tend to categorize it as an expense. It is not an expense, it is a transfer. So another thing that QuickBooks has done to make it easier for us is actually it is now pairing the transaction. So in this green right here, it says pair to another transfer, to another transaction. If you click and open this thing, it's going to say, see, it show a deposit and it's paired to this transaction. This transaction is actually showing up in this account because it's showing up as a deposit. The mistake that most people make is that sometimes, because this says it's a withdrawal, they change the information, right? So for this one, what we're going to do is in this account, we're going to do record transfer. So one thing you got to pay attention to when you're doing the record transfer from the bank feed, you got to do one account first. So now we're going to do record transfer. It's now going to record that transfer inside of QuickBooks. But when we go to this bank feed over here, it's still showing as record transfer. What we're going to do is that we're going to refresh this screen. We're going to refresh this screen. Lord, okay. And because it is paired to that transaction, oh Lord, let us go back here. Now you notice that because it was paired to that transaction, we're no longer seeing it in this account. Actually, this is a different one. It's no longer showing up here because it was paired to this transaction. What prior to QuickBooks updating and using the pair transaction, what used to happen is when you come to this account, it would have given you the option to match the transaction. Because remember, and I'll say this every time that I do a demonstration here, the bank feed is actually a holding area. It is not in QuickBooks until you actually perform one of these actions. And there is like 4 action. You can add it, record the transfer, match it, or in some case they give you a preview. So those transactions, so if we go back to the account and look, there is another one for 500. So this is the account that we're showing. It is coming to this account. If we go back to this account, here is a transaction. It says it's paired to that transaction. So it's now paired to the transaction. Now look what happened when we unpair the transaction. We're going to unpair it, which means that it's not paired. This is how it normally happens. So right over here, we're going to do record transaction. So it's the 1st of March. It says withdrawal, and we do record transaction. Now we're going to go to that bank account. We're going to refresh the screen, because once we record it over there, and let's go down, we got to go down. Come on, let's go down to that transaction. Now, this is what you would have normally seen. So in this account, it's now showing that there is a match. If you want to make sure that it's correct, you click on here. It shows you that it was from the savings account. And so from this transaction, you now match it. If you did not match it and categorize it, right, then there is going to be a duplicate transaction. That is the mistake that a lot of people make, as opposed to making sure they match the transactions. They enter it a second time. So now from this screen, I can just do match, because that transaction, I'm gonna do another one so you can see. So this one says 3, it's paired. We're gonna unpair it so you can see, unpair it, and then we're gonna close this screen. Once it's unpaired, this is a different account. So we do record transaction. I wanted to do one that's in this is the savings. Let's do this one. We're gonna unpair it, because we don't want it. We want it to show up in that account, and then we're gonna record the transaction. All right. Another thing, that when you're using QuickBooks Online, and they see that you're doing the same transaction over and over, it will pop up the screen. Is withdrawal internet always this? You don't want to create a rule if it's not always. So I'm going to say, no, I'm not creating the rule, because the fact is that there are several banks that transaction are transferred for. If you create that rule, whenever there's a transaction, it's going to automatically do it, and you don't want that to happen. Now, this is this transfer here. So we, instead of just doing record transfer, because if we do record transfer, it's going to duplicate the transaction. What we're going to do is that we're going to refresh the screen, and we're going to go all the way back down to that transaction. Where is it? Did we lose it? Nope. Nope, that's not the one that we want. Where is it? I'm sure we I'm sure. All right. Okay, so let's do this. Let's put this by date, because we know what date we're looking for. And we know that we're looking for this transaction right here. See, it says match found, the $2,800, and we know that that's a match. And if we want to be sure, we check it. It was coming from the savings, because we had that savings account open, and we do a match. Now, if we're doing a credit card payment, this one is showing a credit card payment. It's the same way. It pairs the transaction. You can unpair it, and if the transaction is paired, and you do add card payment, it's going to add it to both accounts. It's going to add it to both accounts. Now, I know C said she had the same problem, but at prior to, I think, September, or I think early this year, QuickBooks Online changed, upgrade that feature where when you have a paired transaction, it actually goes into both account when you do a pair. Yes, C, go ahead and ask your question. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh, yes. uh, all right. Okay. All right, guys. Okay. So here is what happened. And I'm going to do the PayPal. I did a PayPal, an actual PayPal before showing how, and I'm going to refresh how to do the PayPal because let me finish with the bank, like the transfer between banks. So if you're doing an actual transfer where you're transferring from one bank where you physically do the transfer, which means that you go in and make, on the bank tab you do the transfer, this is how it's going to turn up. This is how it's going to look. It's going to say record a transfer. That's if you actually go to the bank transfer inside of your bank account and hit that transfer button, it's going to show up and say record transfer. That's one way that you can do it. Another way is that I know, so for those over here on Instagram, we're actually doing a live demonstration on QuickBooks Online. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you can actually see the live demonstration over on in the YouTube channel. So here is what happened. When you do the transfer inside of, say you're transferring from one bank account to the same, in the same bank, it's going to show up in your QuickBooks as a transfer. Let's say that you do the transfer from Bank of America to Chase Bank. It's also going to show as a transfer. So be aware of some stuff that that is going to show up as transfer inside of your QuickBooks. Anything that's transfer from Zelle starts showing up as transfer. Cash App tend to start to show up as transfer. Anything for credit card company is actually now saying, if it recognizes that it's a credit card company, it's actually now saying credit card payment. So those will show up as transfer, and you want to make sure that you're recording those correctly because those are actually assets account. They're not expenses. Now, if you actually went into the bank, did a withdrawal, or wrote a check, let's say you took a check, you write the check from one account to another account, it's going to show up as a withdrawal in one and deposit in one. So you got to remember that even though it's showing up as a withdrawal, where you physically went to the bank, took the money, and then take the money from that bank to the other bank, it's going to show up as a deposit. So you had to, so when it shows up as a deposit, it's not income. It's a transfer. It's a transfer. to avoid that, my recommendation is that when you make the transfer or pay the credit card, is enter it into QuickBooks as you do it, or as close to possible as when you do it. So if when you create that transaction, you went to this new button right here, hit new, and let's say you did a transfer, you go to the other, there's once you hit new, there's four pop up right here. You hit transfer, and once this come up, the bank that you're withdrawing the money from. So you went to Bank of America and withdrew some money. You go grab the bank that you withdraw it from, and the bank that you're taking it to, you go put that bank right there. Put your memo, transfer for whatever you want. Put the amount that you transfer, put the amount that you're transferring, and then you do save and close. So record it inside of QuickBooks before you it actually comes in the bank feed. If it is recorded inside of QuickBooks before the bank feed comes in, what is going to happen is that, yes, we want to leave without saving. I don't have no match in here. It's going to show up as a match, and that is going to make your life easier. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but unraveling the transfer is a lot more work than taking the 2 extra minutes to enter it into QuickBooks. Yes, I see you were on miking. Right. 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 Yes. Right. Now, that you can also do the PayPal the same way. Here is what I do. And this is me personally. This is Elaine. This is how Elaine do it. I pay all my expense through my PayPal. Everything that I pay, if I'm paying very few expense, I'll pay out of bank accounts, right? I pay them through PayPal. So any money that comes out of my bank account and go to PayPal, I record them to the PayPal bank. And I'm going to go quickly to show you. Let's out of PayPal. But that's because you're waiting. That's because you're waiting until that time. So let's do this, and let's do this year. All right. Are you able to see oh Lord Jesus. Are you on the YouTube? All right. So this is my PayPal, right? And because I went in and entered these, I did this when I did the demonstration, and I didn't already match them because I was doing the demonstration and I kept it, I didn't go back and do it. So this is entered inside of my PayPal. But when it goes through my bank, everything that goes through my bank, I code them to PayPal bank. So as anything that's transferred to my bank to PayPal, I code it to PayPal bank. I don't Let me go to that account to see if I have anything. Oh Lord. Let oh yes. Yes. So look at my, this is my operating account. This is my operating account, right? Anything that goes, these are paid in PayPal. So when they come in, when the money's transferred from the operating account, I just code it to PayPal Bank. So that way there is this, let me tell you, this is after I messed it up. I figured it out. Yes. So this is after I messed it up. So guys, you might not be hearing C is in Clubhouse and she's talking to me and it's on the headphone because it would echo. So that's why I have the headphone on. But it's because C, I did 1,400 transaction and I had to undo them and redo them because I messed them up. Because I messed them up. Right. So anything that goes from my any my all my expenses are paid through my PayPal. So in my PayPal, I expense them. I put them to the expense account from my PayPal account. And then when it goes through my bank account, I put them through PayPal Bank. The reason why I do not expense what goes through my bank account to PayPal to an expense account is because the money from my bank account is not always the same amount as the actual expense. Because if money was already in my PayPal account, that money that is already in my PayPal account is going the bank account. Let's exactly. So guys, today we were talking about transfer. We did the bank. We show you how when money comes in, when money is transferred, when you actually physically take it to the bank, you can remember, even though it says withdrawal and deposit, one bank account is going to say withdrawal, the other is going to say deposit. Just make sure that you still record it as a transfer. If you whether you physically take it to the bank or you actually did a transfer inside the bank feed. The other thing is, if you are using PayPal, and that's another thing that a lot of people, for me, I use PayPal to pay all my expense. You expense the expense when it comes into PayPal, the invoice that comes into PayPal that you pay, you code it to expense. When the money is transferred from your bank account, you code that to PayPal Bank. And that's how you actually make sure that you're not duplicating the entry. I spent 15 hours. Not, I wouldn't do it as a transfer. Yes, you can probably record it as a transfer from PayPal, from your bank to PayPal. Yes, you can say it's a transfer. You can actually say it's a transfer because it is recognized in PayPal as another financial institution. So that's why it's looking at it as a transfer. What you don't record as a transfer is the actual expense. And because that's an expense. Yes. That is making sure that you're making sure that you are not duplicate. I spent 15 hours fixing my client's work. Go ahead. Hmm. Right. But I'm going to open the PayPal register so you can I'll do an older one so you can see. Uh I don't even know if this is going to, cuz most of the transactions don't even really are the same. Um okay. You notice this one says 59.46 on the 18th. I think that was paid on a different day. So all the transaction. Okay, this is an easy one. See how this one said graphics? That was 37. That came from the bank account. So you got to make sure that every time there is a corresponding, if money is not into your PayPal, then what happened is that, hey, over on Facebook, right, you got to make sure that these entries, they might not match. So you can also go in and reconcile your PayPal to make sure that your PayPal is at least the entries are not going into the wrong place. That's why I tell you, I went to reconcile this baby and I'm like, this ain't reconcile. I try to do this, and you see it's still saying red. That's because some of the transactions still hanging out somewhere, because I fixed some and some not fixed and all of that. But right, right. Hmm. So another way, and not so that could help. That could help. So guys, thank you so much, C, for coming in. I'm glad you caught this. I'm not sure who's over on Facebook, but thank you for coming in. If you have any question, because today I gotta run. I'm not even gonna stay here longer if you don't have no more question, because I gotta go pick up a car. But understanding how to do the transfer from one bank account to another is something I find that a lot of people are having issues with. So I decided to do this video. So if you have a bank account where you do transfer from one account, you can go back to the beginning of the video to see how we do that. If you have a PayPal account and you are transferring, we all transfer from our bank to our PayPal. This is the way that you do it. Make sure you do your PayPal first and then do your bank first, but make sure. She says do PayPal first. I do PayPal first. Anything that's coming from a main account, I do all the sub account first before I do the main account. So if you have a main account where you do a lot of transfer from, do all the sub account first before you do the main account. I hope that makes sense. Yes. Right, right, right. And that is why it's also important. Yes, and that is why it's important to make sure that you're doing your bank reconciliation. You will not catch these mistakes without doing a bank reconciliation. And I'll say it again, you will not catch these mistakes unless you do a bank reconciliation. And what that does, if you have duplicate entries, what it's going to do is that you're going to have your expenses going to be overstated. Your income might be overstated. You might be calling something income that's not income because it's a transfer, it's not income, right? But that because it's a deposit in your bank account, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's income. And QuickBook only know money comes into your account, it calls it income. Anything that comes into your account, it just code it to income. Was that helpful? So thank you. You are welcome. So thank you for those who join us on YouTube today. And if you're watching the YouTube channel, please remember to like, subscribe, and share the video. And make sure to turn on the notification so when we go live next Tuesday, because we do this every Tuesday, we choose something about QuickBooks and we do a live demonstration on it. For those who are on Instagram, you can scoot on over to the YouTube channel so you can actually see the live demonstration. And for those on on Clubhouse, I'll leave this up so you can click on the link and you can watch the live demonstration. We have several live demonstration about QuickBooks, and we do this every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So guys, thank you so much for coming. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow in the Clubhouse room on Instagram when we go live, talk something about accounting, because we talk all things financial. So bye from the YouTube channel. I'll see you guys on next Tuesday on YouTube. And let us. Oh my God. I'm not home yet. I can't. Hold on, let me end the stream. So all of that. Oh my goodness, I can't end the stream.